Well, hey everybody, welcome to the broadcast every Sunday here when we can do it. Don't have any conflicting upcoming road trips, so I think we're going to be doing the live here on Sundays for a few more weeks. Hopefully you're having a great weekend. For those who live on the West Coast, it's been beautiful weather. I know it's been not ideal in the rest of the country. So, hey, I just want to let you know if you want to tell me where you are. I'd love to hear from you in the chat box. Let me know where you are around the world or here in Canada. It's great to have you on board. I just want to let you know that the Mazda 6 video is up and running. I also did a Q&A with Sandra from PR at Mazda talking about a bunch of things. Like they just announced that Mazda is going to have the diesel coming in the Mazda CX-5 here in the next few months. It could be in the fall as a 2019 model, but it has been approved by the EPA and by CARB in the United States. So that's good news. Mazda is having the diesel coming. They've also announced that Android and Apple is being added to their system for their cars. And what else did we talk about? A bunch of things. So that's all good news. Excuse me. So yeah, people are starting to get things in. I am going away on another trip this week. I just want to let you know I'm going on the Ford F-150 launch. And the Ford F-150, and the reason why I'm going is the Ford F-150 has been out for a while now, but they've added the new diesel engine. And the diesel engine is capable, this is incredible, 10.8 liters per 100 kilometers in the city and 8 on the highway, combined fuel economy of 9.5 liters per 100K. So that is going to be interesting to see. The Ford F-150 diesel heading out to drive that vehicle in the next little while. All right. Excuse me. So I have some people checking in already. Edgerson says, hey, Zach, thank you for the Mazda 6 review. Do you think that the car should add all-wheel drive as an option as the Accord Camry to bring added value to the mid-size car? Yeah, I mean, that's something that they could obviously do to improve sales. But, you know, with the Mazda 6, they're trying to compete in two sort of categories. Mainline cars, so people that are just looking for a mid-size sedan, and then they're trying to go sort of what they call Mazda Premium, which means that they're offering a lot of really nice features in their vehicles, and they made the ride a little bit softer and added more power. I don't think you're going to see them adding all-wheel drive. If any of the others, I mean, Ford, for example, has the Fusion with all-wheel drive. But if you see Honda with the Accord or Camry from Toyota adding all-wheel drive, then I think everybody else would follow suit. And it was interesting being at the Mazda 6 launch. I knew that Toyota and Honda were so far ahead of everybody else, but they actually put the sales numbers up on a chart for us to look at, and they are so far ahead of everybody else. It's unbelievable. So there's Accord and Camry, and then Ultima, and then everybody else falls down behind. There's about 14,000 Camrys and Accords sold each, and for example, the Mazda 6 sells 2,500. So you can see it's a massive difference. I don't think all-wheel drive's coming anytime soon. Justin Chung says, hi. Eric says, plan to get the 2018 BMW X5 35D. How is the BMW diesel SUV compared to the GLE 350D and Cayenne diesel? Thank you. Well, the BMW actually is the champ when it comes to power. The BMW diesel engines really are sort of top rate when it comes to power, and they've been at it for a long, long time. It's an excellent product. I think you're going to like it. People who have bought it absolutely love that they're going to get 700 to 1,000 kilometers of fuel range out of the vehicle. Well, the GLE 350D is no longer available new, and neither is the Cayenne diesel. So you're having to go and shop for those in the used market. The other one, if you're really headstrong on getting a diesel, would be the Range Rover or Land Rover products. So that would be the Land Rover Discovery or the Range Rover Sport, have the 3-liter diesel, similar size to the BMW. But drive it. I think you're going to love it, and people who have them absolutely love them. So let me know what you think. Wasim says, hi from Kitchener, Ontario. Good old KW. Andrew, Brighton, Ontario. Spring is here, I think. That's good news. I have a friend of mine, Gary Grant, who's an auto journalist as well. He lives in Toronto, and he says, we need 5 days with no temperatures below 0, and I'll believe that spring is here. But yeah, hopefully it's turning around for you guys. They absolutely exploded here on the West Coast. Everything is out. The trees, the flowers. It's going to be a beautiful week. Going up to 23, 25 degrees here this week. Halifax, 14 degrees today. It was a great day for a drive. Good for you. Computer User 1, hi from Edmonton. Love the weekly shows. Hope you keep doing them. Yeah, I'm going to keep doing them. The only time I don't do them is when I have a travel conflict. Will the 2019 Touareg be homologated for Canada? No. So, interesting thing. So last year was the last year for the Touareg, and they have introduced a new Touareg. They showed it in Geneva, and it looks a lot like the Q7, but a little bit smaller, and similar platform, of course. And so what they've done in North America is they brought out the Atlas, and the Atlas has been a runaway hit for Volkswagen already in the 6-7 short months it's been available in the marketplace. For example, Atlas now outsells the Honda Pilot for the first 3 months of 2018. That's an amazing accomplishment. So good for Volkswagen. And then at the the New York show, they showed the Atlas, the sportier looking one. That is the 2-seat, 5-seater that would be sort of comparable on size to the Grand Cherokee. So that one is going to be coming. They showed it as a concept, but you can guarantee that it is coming. So yeah, you're going to have Atlas, and then you're going to have Atlas 5-passenger. And that is what is being introduced here in North America to replace the Touareg. And the sales are already far exceeded anything that the Touareg was ever capable of. And the main reason is the Touareg was very expensive. It really competed with the vehicles we just talked about, the X5 and the GLE, or the old ML for Mercedes-Benz. Hello from Hamilton. Thanks for tuning in. Hi from Lethbridge, Miramichi, New Brunswick, Canada. I love your channel, one of the best automotive review channels. Thanks very much. Appreciate that. Canadian Tracker, greetings from Brantford, Ontario. Senjiwa says, how about the 2015 Mazda corrosion protection from Ontario? Yeah, this is an issue with, it's interesting. I was driving along Highway 1 here in British Columbia, and I'm coming along this old Mazda 3. And it is rusted, like the bottoms of the doors are corroded. There's like 2-3 inches of rust just like gone. The whole thing is just, and I'm driving along and I'm looking at and I'm thinking, I bet you this car is from Quebec. And sure enough, I come along and there's these, tree planter types. We get a lot of those here in the summertime, driving this old clapped out Mazda 3. And sure enough, it was rusted all the way through. They know they've had an issue with this, and from what I can tell, they have improved it. I would suggest that anybody from Ontario and Quebec that has experience with the newer models of Mazda to say if they have improved the rust issues. I'm not a good barometer of this because I live on the West Coast where we get very little snow and very little salt, so I'm not a good barometer of that. Mojojo 911. I'm hoping you got a Carrera in your life. I hope so. Hi from Toronto. Monica says, hey, Zach, your reviewers helped me pick the CRV yesterday. That's a great product. I'm glad you like it. Let me know how it goes. I always like to hear from people what they chose, and you keep in touch. I don't mind getting your emails. And by the way, all along the bottom here is the way to get in touch with me if you want to go on Twitter, Instagram, if you want to go to the website. I get lots of emails from people looking for advice buying cars, so I'm glad to help out. And let me know how it goes down the months there, Monica, if you're still happy with it. Wasim says, what's your opinion of the Infiniti crossover with a CVT? Do you think it loses some of the luxury because of the CVT? I haven't driven the new QX50 yet. And I'm waiting to get my hands on it because they did a very early ride and drive. I wasn't able to attend. My colleague Brian Chow from Everyday Reviews went on. He was blown away by the interior, and this is the very first vehicle with a variable compression ratio in the marketplace. So the proof, as they say, is when you get a chance to drive it or in the pudding. But CVTs have improved a lot. Okay, I am not personally a fan of CVTs in some products. I recently drove the QX60. That's the Pathfinder equivalent in Infiniti, or the Infiniti equivalent of the Pathfinder. And I drove it, and I was actually pretty impressed with it. So they have improved the CVTs. It's not my first choice, but you can see they have had issues. The Pathfinder has had reliability issues. The Murano also has a CVT. So wait until you get a chance to drive it. Have you driven it? Let me know. Canadian Tracker says, can you have your thoughts on the 2019 Ram? So I did quite an extensive review of the Ram. So have a look on the channel and you will see a video. I am getting the Ram back and I'm going to do a much, much deeper dive into all of the tech. I have to tell you, this is probably the 2019 Ram is the #1 vehicle introduction of the year, period. Until maybe the new Silverado and Sierra come out. But right now, this is the biggest vehicle introduction, period. Trucks are the biggest market in Canada, and the Ram 1500 is about 70% of Ram sales. It's absolutely massive. So they sold over 100,000 Rams in Canada last year. So you look at vehicles like the RAV4, 50, 60,000, Ram over 100,000. So go back and watch the video. There's so much to talk about there. The level of refinement that is available on the inside is really quite good. It's very quiet. It always was very quiet. It's very refined. The on-road ride is really unparalleled. And it's more capable now. It sort of was a little behind the Ford and the GM trucks now. They've upgraded the payload and towing capacity to be equivalent, just behind the EcoBoost F-150. But yeah, watch the video. I am going to drive that new F-150 very soon, so stay tuned for that. Hey Zach, great review on the Mazda 6 Turbo. How was the drive compared to the Accord? Also diesel on the CX-5. If you're able to bet 2019 would be a good bet. So if you're just tuning in now, I did drive the Mazda 6 Turbo. Here's the thing, my main takeaway from the Mazda 6 Turbo was it didn't give you that snap of power like you get with some turbochargers. It's a high compression engine, and the turbo is a single turbocharger, and to be honest with you, it drives more like a diesel turbocharged engine with this surge of bottom end torque, bottom and mid-range torque, which is the most satisfying for the majority of people. I always talk about it, how torque is what you use every single day to get you from traffic light to traffic light. Sure, it has more than enough power with 227 horsepower for passing on the highway, but that bottom end grunt and torque is very satisfying. The car is now tuned more to be mainstream premium than to be all about just handling. It's quieter, that's good as well. So yes, the CX-5 is coming with diesel. It has been cleared by the EPA. It has been cleared by CARB in the United States. Now we're on a waiting see. I did speak with Sander from PR at Mazda. There's a little Q&A video I did. That's up on the channel as well. And they just found out this week. So I would almost bet that since the vehicle has been cleared, it'll probably, like now that we're in spring, they might just wait until September and bring them in as 2019 models. Justin Chung, hey Zach, is the Kia Stinger the cheapest 350 horsepower car to get? I would say no. I would say go 400 plus horsepower and get a Mustang GT. But yes, with all-wheel drive, and for the level of refinement you get in that car, that's a hell of a lot of car for the money. And I think that's why Kia has done this, is they have 365 horsepower, all-wheel drive, opulent interior. I mean, I have an Audi A7 for sale, by the way. You can go to my website and click on Zach's Picks, and you'll see my Audi A7 for sale. As nice an interior, to be honest with you, as that car, for a lot less money. So I think it's going to do a lot for their brand as their sort of halo car. Rick Byer says, just got word some Subaru vehicles leak oil. Is that still a problem with newer cars? They know that they have an issue. It's not so much leaking oil, is that the head gaskets, because they're horizontally opposed, where the heads mount, you can get the head gaskets that leak. This has been an issue with all horizontally opposed engines, so the cylinders go this way instead of this way. Volkswagen vans had these issues. Porsches, all Porsches that are air-cooled, they seep at some point, and then the through bolts have to be removed, and the engine needs to be resealed. So it's not uncommon for that style of engine. Taylor Earl he asked the question, has your A7 sold yet? No, it's not. It's not for sale yet. Interesting. With fuel prices so high here on the West Coast, I was sharing a photo with some colleagues at the launch of the Mazda 6 that are from Eastern Canada. I filled up this car, the Stelvio. It was $1.75 a liter for premium fuel here on the West Coast. And with all of the pipeline nonsense that's going on, and there could be the CN rail strike, And with summer picking up, oh, they're claiming we could be over $2 a liter for fuel here in the West Coast soon. So a car that is an A7 TDI, I think would be attractive, and I think it will be for somebody soon. So if you know somebody that's interested in a 27,000 kilometer 2015 Audi A7 TDI S-Line Technique, go to my website, look up Zach's Picks, and it's there. Ryan says, hey Zach, from Guelph, Ontario, I still have a 15 Jetta TDI. I'm going to check out the new Jetta soon. Your review was very positive. Is the new Jetta is a good highway commuter car? Here's the thing about the new Jetta. I was really skeptical of the new torsion beam rear suspension. And then when you drive the new Jetta, they have made this exactly what you're asking me. It is an excellent commuter car. They're not trying to be an Autobahn beater. They'll sell you a GTI. They'll sell you a Golf R. They'll sell you a GLI in the Jetta range that will have independent rear suspension and hopefully the European GTI engine with more power. So that isn't the objective with the Jetta. The Jetta is now bordering on mid-size space on the inside, updated dash, updated looks, LED headlamps, and now they've gone with a torsion beam, solid axle in the back. But I got to tell you, driving it, I was absolutely pleasantly surprised with the driving experience. And those who watch my reviews, you know, I'm always saying to you, if you have a choice between independent rear suspension and a trailing axle, always go independent. In this case, it was surprisingly good. Now, once again, if you were going to choose, if you're somebody who likes driving and handling, the Golf with independent rear suspension would be the more advantageous choice. But for somebody that is looking as a highway commuter car, I think it's going to be just fine. And that 1.4 liter turbo is awesome. The torque is amazing out of that size of engine. So I think it's going to sell very, very well. Parth says, will a low mileage E92 M3 6-speed appreciate in the next years? Everything comes down to scarcity, okay? It comes down to how many are out there and what the market is like at the time. Sorry, my things just moved around here. I got to find it again. So will an E92 M3 6-speed appreciate in the next years? Sometimes you have to wait these things out, right? Like, for example, the E39 M5, the 400 horsepower, 6-speed manual only, was a car that really took a depreciation. And now that the car is almost 20 years old, the prices have gone way up. So in the next few years, I'm not sure, is an M3 going to be an attractive car as the years go by? Absolutely. Will it appreciate? Hard to know. Depends how many were made. And the condition. If the car's in great condition, and that's really going to be the deciding factor. If you got 300,000 K on it, no. Returning the lease of my BMW 328 Xi soon, and it has $5,600 worth of damages due to a pothole in Quebec. It is no longer worth buying back the car since of the accident. Well, here's the thing. I'm not so sure about that, because a 5,600, I don't know what the damage is. Obviously, it's suspension components, aluminum suspension components, things broke. But those are all things, unless it was body work, that if they're repaired, the car should be fine. So I'm really not sure what the accident did to the car. I'm guessing mostly suspension and wheels and tires. And you can get to $5,500 in repairs pretty damn quick. So, you know, somebody emailed me about a car that's on Zach's Picks with a $2,000 repair on a Porsche 2014 Carrera S. $2,000 repair on a Carrera is basically repainting the bumper. So I'm not sure to walk away from that car. What you can do is go to Canadian Black Book and see what the value is in the marketplace to see if there's any value there. Nestor Santos, hey Zach, hey from New York, what do you think of the Mercedes A-Class hatch coming out? Will it do well? I'm a hatchback guy. Well, if you look historically at by the way, the A-Class is the basis for the whole suite of Mercedes-Benz small class cars. So the CLA, the GLA, the B-Class, and the CLA were all built on the same platform, the past model. And this new, so this new A-Class is the first. And I saw, it was a Shanghai show, the Shanghai show last year, exactly a year ago, April of last year. They showed the CLA concept. And that will be running on this platform. So yeah, I think it's going to be a great little car. The B-Class was a very practical car. It just didn't have the sex appeal, and the GLA was too expensive for something that was actually smaller. So I think it will do well. I like, here's the thing, it might end up being, once you get a chance to drive it, sort of like a GTI alternative. If you kind of follow Mercedes-Benz, probably a little softer than that, but it will definitely be something to try out. So I have to wait until I get a chance to drive it. What do you think is better, the Traverse or Atlas? We need a big size. I think that if you're looking at pure size, I think the Atlas is the one to get. I mean, this is basically what it comes down to. If you're taking a lot of people over 3 rows continuously, that would be my choice. And I told the story last week. I was getting into my car outside my house, and there was a woman there, 2 kids, stroller. She's got a new Atlas. I said, because I'm a car guy, how do you like it? She was raving about it. She says, I shopped, I looked at everything. I got this car, I love it so much, my brother went and got one. She just says it's a no-brainer. It's so big, and it's great for kids or whatever you're using it for. So take that for what you will. Mojogasm, I like that name, Mojogasm. I'd like to have one of those. Do you think a certified 15 CL300 all-wheel drive is a good buy? I'm looking to replace my rusty Honda Accord. I won't need the extra room since I have another SUV. I think that 2000 certified, okay, so that's good. It's certified, you get the extra warranty, but still please go and have the vehicle inspected by a third party. For example, if it's Bob's Mercedes, get it sent over to Larry's Mercedes and make sure they're not owned by the same company. Unfortunately, majority of Mercedes-Benz dealers are owned by Mercedes-Benz Canada. So there are other independent mechanics that you can have it. So what you do is you say to these guys, they're selling you this 15, I want you to send it to this mechanic, and they'll drive it over there. And then you pay to have a pre-purchase inspection, a PPI. It's going to cost you anywhere from $150 to $300 depending on the mechanic. They're going to go through the car, they're going to give you a report of its condition, and then you get it. The dealer doesn't get it. You paid the money. Now you got to be serious about buying this car. It's the last layer of insurance. And then you look at it and you go, well, the brakes are 50%, the tires need replaced, blah, blah, blah. Now, all of that should be done if it's a certified car, but it gives you some peace of mind. It also gives you some negotiating room with the dealership. I have no problem recommending a 2015 Mercedes. It's good that it's certified. It's good that you've got the extra warranty. Canadian Tracker, hey, from Brantford, Ontario, what is your opinion on hydrogen-powered? You put cards. I don't play with cards. No, I know what you're talking about. Hydrogen-powered cars. We are still a long way, but it could be the real step to the answer for our transportation issues when it comes to carbon. And I'll give you a reason why. So what's one of the biggest issues we have with electric cars? It's range and time to charge. Now, sure, we're getting like with the Mission E concept from Porsche, the ability to charge like crazy amounts of electricity in 15 minutes into your battery. But for most people, you go to a gas station, you stand there in the freezing cold in winter, and you pump the gas in your car, and it takes about 3 to 4 minutes, and you put your credit card in and out, and you drive away. So if we can replace that system with something similar, hydrogen might be the answer. Pull up in your hydrogen car, you click it on, the filler, you put your credit card in, boof, 3 minutes later, the tank is full and you drive away. And then there's another filler station down the road if you ever need to pull over to get that extra range. Now that is going to be attractive to people. Replacing gas with hydrogen drives the same way. So we could eventually get there, but we're a long, long way from that. The companies are investing in it because they know that electric might not be the answer, and hydrogen is a way to save energy. I'm going kind of way off topic here, but what happens is the electricity that is being used during the day is generated in most places in the world by using other fossil fuels. You can't turn an energy station down at night because people aren't using it. So that energy, for the most part, gets lost in the grid. It's just not used. So one way to use that energy is to create hydrogen from, hydrogen, take the hydrogen out of, and put it into a tank, and then you've got it stored, and then you can use that during the day. So that's the theory and why hydrogen might be the way to go. We're a long way from that, though. Kind of got way off. Sean Gray, hey Zach, new BMW M2 or RS3. Didn't you ask this last week? Why would you pick and why? Looking for performance and handling, not daily driver, but weekend warrior. Okay, I think I answered your question last week. The car I want you to try is the BMW M240. Okay, just slightly less horsepower. I think it's only 20 or 30 less horsepower, a lot less money, and you can get it in all-wheel drive or rear-wheel drive. A fantastic handling car, very similar to the M2. Doesn't have the bad boy body kit on it, but if that's what you're looking for, then the M2 will be the way to go. I haven't had a chance to drive the RS3. Colleagues of mine who have say it's absolutely the fantastic car, but so is the M2. But I think that the 2 Series family of cars, whether you're getting even just the regular 4-cylinder turbo, you're getting the inline 6 turbo or the M2 convertible or coupe, I think that is the car in the BMW lineup. So if you're just a weekend warrior, probably the M2. Dave Hitt says it was 14 degrees in Ottawa today. Well, good for you. That's good. Hopefully all the flowers will be coming up soon. It's just absolutely gorgeous here on the West Coast. So hopefully you're going to get some of that weather soon. Buzzaglow 04, my car likely depreciated in value, but I've done a little mileage on it. That's why I'm confident a buyback is worth it or not. I'm not sure what you're referring to. Please give me more information. Brantford, Ontario got to 20 today. Ted says, what do you think of the VW R Dion? Well, the thing is, Volkswagen hasn't had great success with large cars in the marketplace. Volkswagen's known for producing small cars, and now they're known for producing utilities. And the market for large cars is coming down. So what do I think of it? No real thoughts on it other than it's a nice looking car. I am getting a chance to drive it, and stay tuned for that. But I really don't, I just don't think there's much of a market for a car like this. I just think it's all large cars. Sales are going down. Mid-sized cars are kind of holding with some new entries into the market, like the Mazda 6, the brand new Accord and the Camry that have come out in the last years, helping to sort of keep the market share up a little bit. But big cars, I don't hold out a lot of hope. Christopher says, hey Zach, a best budget subcompact car for a first-time buyer. Liking the Kia Rio so far. If you're just looking at price, just price, get the Rio. My mother-in-law had one. I put lots of people into the Rio. It's the best bang for the buck, period. If you're looking for long-term ownership and resale value, get the Honda Fit. It's a little bit more money to buy. And now if you drive manual, they have the new Honda Fit Sport, which is actually pretty funky looking and fun to drive. So that could be an option for you. So you put, now it's a first car, I understand, so you probably budget conscious, but just go in and see what they can do with price and leasing and those sorts of things if you're considering that, and maybe financing. And if you can spend a little bit more, the Fit is probably the way to go because you get that money back when you go to sell it. Both are great cars. Try them out, see which one you like. But yeah, the Fit's a great product as well. Taylor what do you think of the Volkswagen Tiguan? The new one could be comparable to the Acura MDX in terms of cargo space. No, this is a smaller car for sure than the MDX. The Tiguan is a fine product. I have an issue with the way the transmission is programmed. It has this stumble in first gear. It goes like 5 feet and then it shifts into second gear. So what happens is you put your foot on the accelerator and then it goes, and it feels like that first 10 feet or so, it's got this stumble. It's doing its job. There is nothing wrong with the way it's operating. It just has this odd sensation. The way to get around it is you put the sport button on. I'm hoping that they can change the programming. The reason they do this is that first gear is to just get the car out of the pocket. Then they go to higher gears as quickly as possible for fuel economy. And I understand that, but that's my only issue. I think the Tiguan is a great product. My wife and I drove, I thought there was a picture over here. My wife and I drove the Tiguan. She absolutely adored it. She thought it was, you know, I often say that I call Volkswagen Audi Light, and they have a lot of DNA throughout the Volkswagen group, and you get a lot of that in Volkswagen, and they have a special sort of place in the marketplace. And if you get a really nicely equipped Tiguan, it's like driving, it's a much nicer car than the Q3 in my opinion. Not the same size as an MDX. Ron McKenna would love to get a Mazda 6 wagon, But alas, no chance of this on this side of the Pacific. No. It's all about utility vehicles. We're not going to get a wagon, which is a shame. You know what I did drive recently, and there's a video of it, is the new C-Class wagon. I thought that was awesome. Great car. Adnan says, from Edmonton, what is a good luxury compact SUV under $50,000 for a daily driver? Fuel economy is more important than power. My two favorites, if you're looking for a luxury compact SUV, are the Q5 and the GLC from Mercedes-Benz. Those two products, I think, are the ones to look at. Those are my top two picks, and not in any order. Doesn't matter, but both of them are great. Whichever one you like better. Under 50,000, you're going to have a pretty basic one. But you never know. You might be able to go there and get a demo, or maybe one that the sales manager's been driving, and get a little bit of a discount on it. Ron McKenna pipes back in. He's in Ottawa. Good to have you on board. Best value for compact car, deciding between Corolla LE versus the Elantra GE. The Corolla is at the end of its run, okay? And the Elantra's been up for a few years as well. But it's the same thing I talked about with the Honda Fit. It's dollars in, dollars out. So you're looking at a best value. I always look at overall cost of ownership, and the biggest is depreciation. So I call it dollars in, dollars out, and I call it the Bank of Honda and the Bank of Toyota. People pay a premium for their products because they've earned that right in the marketplace. So if you're looking at long-term ownership and going to sell one of the two cars in the long run, the Honda and the Toyota, in this case, is going to always be a better for resale value. So based on that, excuse me, that would be my choice. If you're not in a rush, stick around, because there is going to be a new Corolla coming. Monica says, oh, she's got her CRV. So far, day one is awesome. We got an EXL model, super nice and comfortable drive. Yep. I think the Honda CRV is kind of like the Swiss Army of compact utilities. It's certainly one of the bigger ones, and I'm glad you like it. I think you're going to really enjoy that car. Good for you. Brian Kim, Traverse or Atlas? Need big size. I think I already answered that one. Yinan Zhang says, hey, Zach, first time to see your live show. Love your videos. From Vancouver, 2016 to 18 Audi S8 Plus versus Mercedes E63 Wagon. Which would you pick? This one is easy, my friend. I would absolutely love to have an E63S Mercedes-Benz station wagon. And I would take, for me, and this is not you, I would take the badges off. I would have the stealthiest, baddest ass SUV on the road. And I said SUV because it is a sport utility vehicle. It is fast as all get out. It's got utility because it's a wagon, and it is a vehicle. So I think that the E63 wagon that's the baller car. You got to get that. Absolutely, hands down. You are going to love it. Now, S8 Plus, great car, pulls like a freight train. I drove that through the mountains here in BC, and it was unbelievable. But there's no question there. So let me know if you get it. And tell you what, bring it round and we'll take it out for a drive. Dan Martin says, so yeah, get back to me. Honestly, I'd love to see it. I love that car. I ran into a guy in the airport and we started talking about cars, and I said, what do you have? He says, I got an E63S wagon. I'm like, oh my God, that's the car. That would be the car. Dan Martin says, wife drives a 2012 Mazda 5, bought new, no rust, 120,000 kilometers. And he lives near London, Ontario. So that's great. London, Ontario. I spent 7 years of my life down there. I don't know if you're in Dorchester or St. Thomas. I'm not sure where you are. Yeah, I went to school down in London, and I worked there in radio for years when I first started out. Blue Chinchilla Eating Dorito, great name. Fan of your show, thanks for answering my question in previous Q&A streams. Got a final exam tomorrow, so can't stay for this one, but nice to finally see some nice weather here in Vancouver. Cheers. Well, good luck with your exam. Hopefully it goes well. Finals, I guess that's it. You're out for the summer now. Well done. Jean-Michel Gauvin says, living in Quebec, no rust on newer Mazda since 2010. CX-5 from 2014. No issues. There you go. That's good to hear. So it's as good that we have this input from people. Nestor says, is Volvo going all electric? If so, will the new S60 and V40 be the last gas-powered engines? I got to tell you, when Volvo made the announcement last year that by 2020 they were going to go all electric or hybrid, it was one of the most misleading headline, and everybody in the mainstream media picked it up and ran with it, and it was nothing more than spin. Now, what do you think hybrid means? You're thinking a Toyota Prius, right? Not the case. So the cars that are going to be coming by 2020 that will be hybrid or electric will have the 48-volt electrical system that was developed. I'm not sure who the supplier is, probably Bosch or Siemens, that is being utilized in all kinds of different brands. Like, for example, the Ram 1500 has the 48-volt hybrid system. They use it for what's called eco-torque or e-torque, and Mercedes-Benz uses it, and all of the car companies are going to use it. It really isn't a true hybrid system. What it allows the engine to do is switch off more often, and the 48-volt system is there to restart the car much quicker. So what you have is the ability for the car to switch on and off power much more often, and able to drive at sustained light loads with the 48-volt battery supplying energy for short periods of time. So what they're trying to do is just get that gasoline engine off as much as possible through your drive. So that's what this system is. It's totally misleading. These cars by 2020 will still have gasoline engines. They are going to have a mild 48-volt hybrid system. The headline was misleading, and I don't think they did themselves any favors in the long run. We'll have to wait and see. Wasim says, I see 2 to 4 year old Nissans and Mazdas on the road and rusted. The rust is not even on the wheel wells. Well, there's one person's idea, and we'll have to see what others say. There's other people chiming in saying rust isn't an issue. Steve Allen says, you people are human sewage. Thanks for that. Appreciate that. I can just flush your comment away. Let me do that. Remove. Flushed. You're human sewage. There we go. Hey, Zach, out of the 3 cars, Cadillac CTS, Lincoln Continental, Chrysler 300, you know the one that looks like the Bentley Rolls-Royce. Which one would you choose? Well, Chrysler 300 is the value car. You're going to get a fully loaded Chrysler 300 for the base price of the other ones. So they're all good road cars. I would put in order CT6 number 1. I would actually put the Chrysler 300 at number 2 and the Lincoln Continental at number 3 in terms of on-road driving dynamics. Comfort, I would do CT6 number 1, Continental, and then Chrysler. Interior fit and finish, I would say Cadillac, Lincoln, then Chrysler. They're all good choices. The interesting thing is, a lot of people are probably saying, what the hell, a Chrysler 300, a Dodge Charger? I gotta tell you, all you need to do is look at the Canadian Black Book Retained Value Award, and you also need to look at dependability studies by J.D. Power after 3 years. Those full-size FCA cars, Chrysler and Dodge cars, are at the very top. So the great thing is they're used by a lot of fleets. You can buy them, pick them up cheap in the marketplace used. And if you're going to buy one new, hammer the dealer on the price because you're going to get a deal on one. But a Chrysler 300, I challenge anybody to drive one on a long road trip. You are going to be impressed because Chrysler at the time used to be owned by Daimler, Mercedes-Benz. And that is running on it, yet granted an old Mercedes-Benz E-Class platform, but it actually has still a lot of that DNA in it. They've modified it over the decades, but it still is a great roadworthy car. So I challenge anybody to take a long road trip on a Chrysler 300, especially if you can get the V8 one, and come back and tell me that's not a good road car, because it is. Barry Wine says, hey, from Ottawa, any review on the 219 Santa Fe coming? Well, there is going to be an event for it, and I'm going to go to it if I can work it into my schedule. Haven't got anything yet, but yeah, it is going to be coming, and when I do, it's going to be great. The thing is, it's coming with a diesel. For diesel fans, there's going to be options out there. Santa Fe, CX-5. You have the General Motors diesels in the Traverse and the Terrain, so it's good. Sean says, what are your opinion of the 17 Colorado diesel? Funny, you've just talked about that, General Motors diesel. It's a pretty large displacement 4-cylinder diesel. I would suggest you go on a pickup truck web forum and find out what existing owners think of it. Because for me to drive it for a few days is one thing. To actually get a chance to speak to people that own it and use it for work duties day in and day out is probably your best idea. But I'm a huge diesel fan, so you're preaching to the choir, brother. Frank says, hey, Zach, is LeaseBusters a good website to get rid of a lease, or is there any other way to get out of a lease quickly? Hands down, LeaseBusters is the best way. Full disclosure, I did work for Jim Matthews at LeaseBusters for a few years, and I would suggest that that is your best way to get rid of the car. Russ says, what are your thoughts on the Lincoln Aviator concept? Just more of the same, really, from, if you look at the Navigator, just more opulent. So I think, here's the thing with SUVs. There seems to be no top. And full-size trucks are the same way, pickup trucks. There seems to be no top to what people are willing to spend on these trucks. And then you put the review out of the Navigator or of the Escalade, and people say, who's a moron who would spend $100,000 on an Escalade or a Navigator? They sell them. People buy them. And there seems to be no top to what people are willing to spend. So an Aviator, people will buy it. Andeep Singh says, hey Zach, what do you think of the Grand Cherokee Limited SRT of recent years? A friend of mine drove a 17, said it was noisy and unrefined. What do you think it fares against the Japanese rivals? It's a baller car. It's awesome. I think the Grand Cherokee, the SRT, is awesome. I personally wouldn't live with it every day. It's got very wide tires and aggressive suspension, and it tracks the road, like it tracks all the imperfections in the road. So you kind of wrestle a little bit, and I can see your friend's point. You've got a big badass V8 in there. It makes noise. The exhaust is tuned to give noise in the car, and the suspension is kind of rough and ready. Now, it is a utility that you can hammer and have loads of fun. It wouldn't be my choice. If you're looking for something similar, but not that, then I would just get a Hemi-equipped Grand Cherokee. And then you get more of the refined ride, and you still get plenty of power. But it is a great product. I mean, and definitely can compete with the German competition, but it is a bit rough and ready. Now, back to the point about Chrysler and Daimler. That Grand Cherokee is another shared platform with Mercedes-Benz. The GLE or the ML or the M-Class, they've changed the name 3 times ever since it's been out. That Grand Cherokee and the Durango are running off an older shared platform with Daimler. So same thing, you get a lot of that German driving dynamic in the vehicle. That's why I'm a big fan of the Grand Cherokee. I think it's a great product. 12 Fret says, hey Zach, my X5 has a Dinein Tuning on it, gives me a drivetrain malfunction error, especially a known issue with Dinein with no fix yet. Are you familiar with it? I'm not. I do know that you're now dealing with Dinein and you're not really dealing with with BMW. So what I would do is I would work with Dinein on that, because they're the ones that they shadow the warranty. So you have your BMW warranty, and then when you put the Dinein in, they kind of do a mirror warranty. Steve Dinein was here in Vancouver, and my buddy Brian from Everyday Reviews had his 335 there, and he was doing an interview with him, and he says, oh, what's it like? And he said, well, tell you what, bring it round the back of Brian Jessel's here in Vancouver, and he did it for him, or he had it done for him. So that was done by Steve Dinein himself. So I don't know about this. Same thing again. There is a web forum for every car. My advice would be to get in touch with Dinein. Also go to BMW, like Roadfly, go onto web forums there, see if there is something that people are working through. You say it's a known issue, so you probably have been on there, but I can't add anything more for you. Russ Alex Harley, would you consider a Range Rover Velar if you're purchasing a new car? Sure, it's a beauty. It just won the World Car of the Year for design, and I think it is it's like the Darth Vader of utility vehicles. It's a really badass looking car. I have no issue with it at all. My issue is the fact that they don't offer the 3-liter diesel in it. They only offer the 4-cylinder diesel, which I think is disappointing. But you do get the supercharged 6-cylinder with 380 horsepower. Go watch the review. My wife and I did it together. She drives a Cayenne, so she's familiar with that sort of level of car. She absolutely loved it, and I have no problem with it. And it's got the new interior for a Range Rover. Alex Korb, I have a hunch that the Aviator platform might be the Bronco platform. I don't think they'll make a new mid-size body rear-wheel drive platform. It's probably just a shorter version of what they're doing with the other products. Hey Zach, any ideas on the new Toyota Corolla hatchback pricing? No pricing. So they showed at the New York show and simultaneously at the Vancouver show, because press days were the exact same day, the hatchback. And it's a pretty neat looking, I mean, the pictures, a lot of people go, it's far too aggressive. And, you know, Toyota is going with that more aggressive look. I don't think it's going to, what I would do is to look for the pricing of the existing IM, okay, which was the Scion, is now badged as the Corolla. It's going to be very similar to that. I would almost guarantee that it's going to be similar to that. Bruno says, hey Zach, I drive a 16 M2 with 420 horsepower and 430 pound-feet of torque with the Dinein upgrades. Do you think it is worth to upgrade to the M2 competition? No. No. I mean, the M2 no, I don't think so. I mean, what are you going to use it for? What are you going to use all that power for? Like, if you can't have fun with that much power, you're doing something wrong. Here's my theory. You have more fun driving a moderately powered car well than just driving a high-performance car. Like, I call them point and squirt cars. You point them, you hit all that power. I mean, spend the money and take some driving school, racetrack experience. This is the one thing that drives me crazy. I'm not trying to beat up on you, Bruno. I get that you obviously have the money and the capability to do this, and sure, it'll be a load of fun to do. But do yourself a favor with the existing car you have now and go and book some track time with a professional instructor and a good program and learn to drive the car well. I had a perfect example. In my 993, I had a Carrera, a C2S, a rear-wheel drive C2S 993, and I took it to the track. This was years ago before air-cooled Porsche prices went through the roof. I'd never do it today because they're worth too much money. But I took it to the track, and there was a guy there with a brand new GT3. Now, I can get my way around a racetrack pretty well. I've done lots of track time. And he could catch up to me on the straights because he's got a brand new GT3, but he couldn't keep up with me in the corners because I was better at driving than him. So do yourself a favor, go and learn to drive that car. I don't think it's worth going up and spending all that money for a competition version. If you just want to get it because you can say you've got one, spend your money, go nuts. Rocco says, enjoyed your review of the Mercedes-Benz C63 and C43. I just bought a C43 sedan. I tried the BMW 340, Jag XE, Kia Stinger, Audi S4, but the C43 in Sport Plus just puts a bigger smile on my face. Mercedes-Benz is doing a lot of things right. Mercedes-Benz is giving people that really nice balance of refinement and traditional luxury combined with attitude on demand. Because now you have all the different suspension settings, you've got all the different engine performance settings. So you can take a car, for example, like a C63 and drive it in comfort mode in bumper-to-bumper traffic. It's a luxury car. You turn it up to Sport Plus and you get that, the paddle shifters going and the sound opens up and it's awesome. So I'm really glad that you like the car. And you're right, it's a really nice product. Good everyday car to live with. Formal Hot 4 says, hey Zach, could you share some lesser known tips and pitfalls when negotiating car leases? I'm thinking of leasing an 18 Acura RDX before the new model arrives. Well, first of all, the fact that you're going to be putting an offer in on a new model before it even arrives, you are like, you are on your back foot and the guy's ready to hit you in the nose and you're going to go back. Or you have no bargaining power with a brand new model. Zero. Because if you don't pay full whack for it, dude behind you will. Where you get more leeway is when obviously the car has been out for a while. My number one tip with leasing a car is when you go in and you want to get the vehicle, keep your mouth shut on the fact you want to lease it. Don't say you want to lease the car. Just say you're interested in the car, negotiate the price. So if you can get the discount of any kind, so negotiate that in, and then once you've got the price done, then you say, by the way, I want to lease it based on that price. If you go in there and say, I'm interested in getting a lease, they have all kinds of ways to get you an attractive looking price per month for the car, but you're paying full retail for it. So just keep your mouth shut on the fact you want to lease it, negotiate the price, but on a brand new car that's just coming into the market, that there's going to be a long line of existing RDX owners that are thinking of getting the new one, you have no bargaining power, unfortunately. The other thing is, when you go in there, say to them, I'm not paying documentation fees. I don't want to pay documentation fees. There might be some you have to pay, like accessing, Honda credit, something like that. But tell them, I don't want to pay anything extra. Don't buy all the crap they want to sell you. Scotch guarding, undercoating, don't buy it. pay for the car and the taxes. In this case, your taxes will be included every month. That's it. But not much negotiating power in a new car. Bashir Eid says, hey Zach, nice to have you on board. All about vehicles. Hey Zach, my grandmother got a 2019 Jeep Cherokee North. Didn't you chime in last week about this? With heated seats and Navi. She loves it. V6. Also, my father got a 19 Ram 1500 Laramie Limited. He loves it. 17.5 miles per gallon in the city. I'm not sure if that's good or bad, but yeah, that new Ram is pretty impressive. It does have cylinder management, able to switch off the cylinders, half the cylinders under light loads. Raymond, hey Zach, do you think it's good to get a Porsche extended warranty for the Cayenne? I'm wondering which one of the three you have ordered. So Raymond, obviously you're just tuning in because I did get a new Cayenne, but it is the old stock. So what happened? I got the diesel. So they were not able to sell these cars because of the whole diesel BS that was going on with the Volkswagen group. So the dealers that had them shipped, they were sitting there. And the one I got was sitting there for 2 years. So the one I have is a brand new car, never been registered, no miles on it, absolutely minty, it's in great shape, but it's just because it's the older model. So that's what I got. If I couldn't get one of these diesels, I would have ordered the new V6, the base model, because the new V6 is so much better than the outgoing VR6. It has 40 more horsepower. The way it's programmed, the turbocharging, it really makes it a very satisfying everyday vehicle. If you want to go up to the S and get the 2.9 liter with 440 horsepower, that's the one. If you want to spend the money, that's the one I would get. But I think a lot of people are going to do what I suggested when I drove it, and you can watch my review, it is on the channel, is to get the base model and then load it up, because we all know Porsche packaging and options are very expensive. Load it up, because what is it, 77,000 I think for the base model and 90-something thousand for the S. And in that price range, you could get the vehicle pretty well, nicely equipped. Is it a good idea to get an extended warranty? You don't have to get an extended warranty right away. You can drive the vehicle for 4 years, and if you're going to keep it after 4 years, you can always get a warranty then. Patel says, hey Zach, I'm looking to purchase a plug-in hybrid SUV for under 50,000 in the next couple of years. Good reliability, about 70 kilometers of EV range. Do you know if anything is coming down the pipe? Well, so the one you have in the market right now is the Mitsubishi Outlander PHEV, which is the long name for plug-in hybrid or plug-in hybrid electric vehicle. It's a long name. That is the one that's really on the marketplace right now. And don't turn your back away from it, because it doesn't have 70 kilometers of EV range. But you got to remember, even when it comes off its full battery potential, it still is very efficient, and you're going to get good fuel economy out of it. The other one that's probably going to be coming shortly will be the RAV4 plug-in hybrid. So they have the Prius Prime, which is the Prius plug-in hybrid, and this new RAV4 is built on the new Prius and the new Toyota Global Architecture platform. So they're all built on the same platform. So one is a plug-in, so the RAV4 will probably be coming with a plug-in hybrid in the next couple of years. I don't think you're going to be getting 80 kilometers or 70 kilometers of range, but it could be pretty close. Could be 50 to 60. But that's basically what you're looking at right now. Always for real, says Zach. Porsche Guru, what options are must-have? Premium package plus for 7,000. I'm wondering if you're talking about which car it is. Planning 10-year ownership in Vancouver. Comfort trumps launch control any day. Well, that's what my product, my Cayenne has. It has the premium package plus. So that's basically everything you want. It has the keyless entry and start. It's got the power. It's got the memory seats, the memory doors, the memory steering wheel for both passenger and driver, automatic dimming mirrors, outside dimming mirrors, retracting, so heated rear seats and cooled seats, all that kind of stuff. So that would be the one I would get. In that package is one thing. Oh, actually, if it's a brand new one, it will have the LED headlamps. So mine has the dynamic LED headlamps, but LED headlamps are going to be coming standard in the new Cayenne. So that's something to consider. I just looked below and I see you're talking about the Macan S. So yes, all of that stuff I just mentioned does apply to the Macan S. I would pay for that. Bashar says, hey, Zach, I'm looking to buy my first car for my 18th birthday. I'm also looking for a fun car, not something expensive on gas. I like VW and Audi. Do you have a specific car to recommend? Not sure what your budget is. I did a review of is the Volkswagen Golf a good first car. Not sure if you can afford the $24,000 for that car, nicely equipped, but that would be a good choice. That's kind of fun, good on gas, and is going to be very practical for your age. I would also consider a Civic. If you drive stick, Civic hatch manual is a lot of fun, or an SI with the manual is fun too. J.R. Hanford, hello from Calgary. Is the new Camry significantly quieter than the 2012? My F-250 is quieter on the highway than my current car. Yes, it is quieter. That's one of the things that they did. So Prius came out first with the new global architecture. Camry's built on this as well, and it's more refined. The body is stiffer, there's quieter. They did a lot of stuff. Now, I'm not sure which model you're talking about. If it's the 4-cylinder, I did notice that the 4-cylinder was noisier than the hybrid and the V6. So consider that. If I was going to choose between a Camry 4-cylinder and the hybrid, it's unbelievable I'm going to say this, but the hybrid is a better everyday car. It's got more torque. It's actually more fun and spirited to drive every day, and it gives great fuel economy, and it is quieter. So give it a shot. You might surprise yourself. Russ says, my parents are deciding between a CRV and a RAV4. What are the pros and cons would you give for each vehicle? Well, the con for the RAV4 is it's in its last year. So the new one was shown at the New York Auto Show. If they're not in a rush, I would wait for that product to come. It's probably going to be arriving in dealerships November, December of this year. And that too is built on the new global platform. It has the same engine as the Camry. It's got the same 8-speed automatic transmission, vastly improved interior design. I think it's a little bit bigger as well. That would be an excellent product. So you've got all of that sort of known technology. It's not turbocharged, there's no CVT, so that is going to be a very compelling package. The CRV, however, is currently a little bit bigger. It kind of is a bit of the Swiss Army knife in that space. It's very well put together. Both of them are made in Canada. So I would suggest if it's between those two, the RAV4 has the slight advantage that it has the advanced safety features as standard equipment, where I think with the CRV, you've got to go up one trim or add a package to get it. And so if they're not in a rush, wait. That's my advice. Wait for the new RAV4. TR says, has anybody asked about the Genesis G70 yet? No, you're the first one, and I am going to Montreal to drive it in a couple of weeks. They're doing it north of Montreal at Mont-Tremblant. So we're going to have some track time with it. And here's the interesting thing. The G70 is going to be sold with a manual, turbo 4-cylinder, rear-wheel drive. So that's the real purest car. So currently in the marketplace, the Stinger, similar platform and technology, is only available with all-wheel drive and the turbo 6-cylinder. The turbo 4-cylinder is coming, but no rear-wheel drive and no manual. So that's interesting that Genesis has decided to go that route. So they have all of these tools in the toolkit for both companies, but Genesis is charging a premium over the Kia, and it's interesting that they're offering those options. So I hope that when they have the launch here at Tremblant in a couple of weeks, that they will have one of those cars there. But I think they have, because I know the PR person, Patrick, he's had some pictures on his Facebook of that car. So 2 weeks from now, you'll get your review of that. Boston says, list of all the cars you have owned, year, model, trim level, duration you owned it, as well as the cars you have had with your family. Thanks. We could be here a while. I've owned a lot of cars. I've owned 5 or 6 Volkswagens. I've owned 5 BMWs. I've owned 4 Porsches. I've owned Toyotas. I've owned 2 Toyotas. I've owned a Chevy. I've owned a bunch of different cars. A lot of German cars, to be honest with you. You know, you name it, from 5 Series station wagon to 7 Series BMW to Cayennes to Carreras to Volkswagen Golf to Volkswagen vans. I've had a lot of those. A Chevy S10 pickup, which was a great little product. Toyota, I had a Toyota Celica GT years ago. So lots of different stuff. My very first car was a Buick. Now, don't laugh. It was my very first car when I was a kid was a 1949 Buick Speedmaster. Super. The Roadmaster was the one they used in the movie. It's just what's the name of the movie? It'll come to me in a second. Anyway, he was used in a movie, The Roadmaster. I have the Super. And the reason I bought it, my dad spotted it for sale, and we kind of bought it together. We kind of wanted to buy it as a project car, but never got around to fixing it up. But that's the car I drove every day in high school, a 1949 Buick Super. The movie was Rain Man. Rain Man, they used the 49 Buick Roadmaster. Sukhjot Singh says, can you please do the car reviews by yourself and not others? Well, the thing is, you got to switch it up, man. It's just, I can't do everything on my own. So, yeah, I don't think so. Kenny Brooks says, would you prefer between a Golf R and a GTI? Also, which is more reliable in the long haul? Go and watch my Volkswagen Golf GTI review that I did. It's on the channel. It's done from about a month or so ago. And I went through the whole process, Golf R, GTI. I'll do quickly here. I think that the Volkswagen GTI Autobahn is the sweet spot for price, performance, and fun. If you're just looking for reliability long term, well, there's less complexity in the GTI. So that's something to consider. All right, jumping around here again. Wallace says, hey Zach, 2018 BMW X3 or 2019 RDX A-Spec? Well, I'm getting the X3 in 2 weeks, I believe. So stay tuned for that. And the RDX is not out yet. How can I answer that? No one's driven it. There is going to be an RDX event here on the West Coast in June. So I'll be driving it then, and stay tuned for that. So that's when we get our first chance to drive it. Love Chan 21st Century says, what's your view on Tesla? More and more people are now doubting the future of the company. Well, regular viewers of this chat know that I do say that I think that Tesla is troubled. It's a troubled company when it comes to finances. And I think that the long-term viability of the company really is in question. When they shut down their line, which they've currently done, to retool it because what they were trying to do wasn't working, and everybody in the auto industry kind of knew that. You know, Elon Musk thought he was smarter than everybody in the room. And he is smarter than everybody in the room. But because of that, he thought he could do it differently than everybody else in the room. And he's now learned that you can't. Car companies like Mercedes-Benz that have been around for 100 years. General Motors has been around for 100 years. You know, Toyota's been around since after the Second War. These companies have figured out how to make cars efficiently. And it's a very low margin business. So even now that Elon Musk is retooling to make cars in a more traditional way than trying to do it fully automated, he's learning the hard way that these car companies know how to make cars every day, one after another, with very high quality. That is very hard to do. I have had many beers with people who are at very high levels of car companies who know how to make cars, and when you bring up Tesla, they just go like this. You know, we'll have to wait and see. The thing is Tesla, even if they can get the Model 3 up and running to the thousands of units they want every day and week, even with that, will they be profitable? That's the big question. And on that, it's time for me to say goodbye. Thank you to everybody that tuned in. Once again, follow along Instagram. If you have any questions, you can also go to my my website, Facebook, you name it. So thanks to everybody that tuned in today. I wish you a great rest of the weekend, and I'll speak to you later in the week with that Ford F-150 diesel review. Stick around for that. Chat with you then. Bye now.